It was a major revelation allegedly made by the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry, Professor Patrick Agbesingyale, who is said to have told a parliamentary committee that the state has been engaging the services of notorious land guards to retrieve and protect state land. MP for Tamale North, Al-Hassan Suhuyini, has told journalists. Now, in return, these notorious land guards are paid with parcels of land. Al-Hassan Suhuyini, who is also the deputy ranking member on the Land and Forestry Committee, describes this arrangement as illegal and contrary to the Land Act and the Vigilantism and Related Offences Act. In a swift response, the Ministry of Land says it rather engaged the services of a private company to protect state lands and not land guards. More from the statement shortly. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with details. He will be joining us shortly with all of those details from Parliament. But let's share with you the details of this statement. But before then, we have been engaging Al-Hassan Suhuyini on this matter.
When in our engagements with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Chief Director revealed shockingly, that the ministry has resorted to engaging a land guard to retrieve and protect government lands. And mind you, these are lands that are held on behalf of the people of Ghana, vested in the president to protect it. And I'm sure that the framers of the Constitution are aware that the president is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces and is seized with the capacity to ensure that these lands are protected for our, communal use. And that is why the lands are vested in the president. And the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is the ministry tasked with the responsibility of overseeing these lands. So for the ministry to tell us the lack of capacity of the state to protect these lands that are, put in trust, but to resort to, the services of people whose activities have been outlawed for the protection of these land came to us as a surprise. We have therefore demanded from the ministry the terms and conditions of that unholy relationship between the ministry and this land guard or his institution. Because clearly, we cannot pass laws that we do not intend to keep. And again, when we pass laws to sanitize any area or development in our country, we do not expect the state to be the first to break those laws.
That's Al-Hassan Suhuyini speaking to us there. Now, Kweku Asante joins us via Zoom. Now, Kweku, what is the nature of this allegation and so-called revelations made to the Land and Forestry Committee of Parliament?
Right. So, Brace, you first heard him there talk about how the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, as the ministry in charge of protecting state lands, being actually the one engaging so-called land guards allegedly. They also actually go ahead to say that it is not actually just the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, but also even the Ghana Police Service and the military also engage these land guards whenever they have any issues of such encroachment. Listen to him make that allegation in terms of what the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry is reported to have told his committee in Parliament.
The other shocking part of this revelation was that, according to the Chief Director, it is not only the ministry that contracts the services of this land guard, but also the Ghana Armed Forces and the police depend on the services of this land guard to protect lands that are under their care. And so if the Ghana Armed Forces and the police cannot protect their own lands and have to resort to the use of land guards, what is the faith of the common Ghanaian who wants to acquire land and is faced with the challenge of land guards? And What was again scandalous was the revelation by the chief director that this person that is engaged, actually has a setup that the state cannot compete with. A setup that the state cannot compete with. According to the chief director, he has his own media that ensures that whatever he does, rightly or wrongly, is not exposed for public scrutiny. He has his own members of the judiciary, and so he gets away with whatever law he may have broken in the process of retrieving and protecting land. He has his own security that he deploys on these lands when he retrieves them. And at the end of the day, he comes to sit down with the ministry and he informs the ministry of the cost that he has incurred. And the ministry compensates him by dashing out, some parcels of land from the whole that he has helped to retrieve.
So on this, what is the demand of the minority?
So first, they want the details of this contract or this engagement between the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry and this so-called land guard. They want to be able to know why is it that the ministry, the police and the military are not resorting to state security apparatus, and why are they using a private firm to be doing all this. So they want all those details to be laid out clearly. And then secondly, they've also filed urgent questions in the House to drag the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, to come and answer questions, to come and explain the circumstances under which this so-called land guard was offered this opportunity to be the one protecting state lands and to be the one that is actually ensuring that state lands are not encroached. So they are doing this two-pronged attack in terms of what they are able to get. First, demanding that these details be brought to Parliament, and secondly, filing urgent questions.
All right, grateful to you, Kweku. Now, we have a statement from the ministry on from their response to these allegations. Let's share with you the details of the statement now. It says, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, by this press release, refutes the allegations made by the Daily Post newspaper and the Ghana Web Online News platform on the 17th day of July 2023 on a purported statement made by the Chief Director of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, captioned, quote, Chief Director at the Lands Ministry reviews, Ministry of Lands, Military and Police have been contracting land guards, unquote, and, quote, government engages services of land guards, Chief Director of Lands Ministry, unquote, respectively. Now, the ministry would like to set the record straight that government, and for that matter, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, does not contract the services of land guards in its operations. However, the ministry, through its agency, Lands Commission, legally engaged the services of INOC Holding Limited, a registered limited liability company, to assist in reclaiming encroached government lands. This engagement has been in effect since 2012. We wish to categorically state that government, and by extension the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, employs legal processes to reclaim all encroached state lands. So that's the response the ministry is given, that contrary to what we are hearing, that the ministry, the police and the military, by extension government, engages the services of land guards, is not accurate. What is accurate is that the government, through the Lands Commission, engaged the services of a company called INOC Holdings Limited. It's a legally registered entity in Ghana, to reclaim encroached government lands. And that is what they do. That is the fact of the matter. So this is what the government is saying, that what the minority is telling us and what we are hearing is not accurate. The government has been contracting the services of land guards. What they say is that, in fact, it's true that government secures the services of a company to reclaim government land, but it is not as though they are contracting the services of land guards. We'll delve deeper into this particular story by exploring the angle with security experts to understand what they do make of this vis-a-vis what the Land Act says, as well as the Vigilantism Act also says. But once the ministry is saying we are not engaging land guards, then it becomes an issue where is it okay for a security setup like the police and the military to be engaging the services of, a separate entity to reclaim their lands? Once they are security institutions, why are they not able to proceed on that leg? But we understand that the contract is not directly between the police and the military, but rather between the Lands Commission and the INOC Holdings Limited. Adib Sani is a security analyst, and he joins us via phone now. Grateful to you for joining us here. Now, how do you react to these allegations and the response from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources?
Well, I was a bit taken aback by the allegations, because if we now have a law that criminalizes land guardism, knowing the effects it can have, on our democracy, on the issue of law, etc. And it is shocking that none other than a state institution would engage the services of land guards to provide security, or as they put it, to reclaim lands. However, the ministry did categorically state that it was their agency, the Lands Commission, that engaged a limited liability company. But you see, my fear is the land guards clothing themselves with a limited liability company when their modus operandi, the way they do things, is very consistent with other land guards who might not have a limited liability company. And I would have also, at the same time, thought that as a state institution, it is the police, the military, the other security agencies that could help government or help the agency reclaim government lands. I mean, I do understand that there are ministries, departments, and agencies who acquire the services of private security firms, even at their premises. But for an exercise as sensitive as reclaiming land, for you to use a limited liability company is something that is neither here nor there. I am tempted not to trust the ministry much, especially with that the statement in mind. Because the thing is, issues of land is quite precarious. It's dicey. You get there, and there are land guards who are armed to the teeth, and sometimes they exchange fire even with security services. So for you to engage the limited liability company that is not supposed to wield arms per the Arms and Ammunition Act 1972 NRCB 9, they are not supposed, no civilian is supposed to brandish a weapon without the tacit approval of the IGP. So it makes me wonder in what form do they go, and what exactly their role is, when the police could have provided a much more effective role. So there's a lot to this that I think should be investigated, and the statement should not be taken in hook, line, and sinker. There should be a conscious attempt to conduct an investigation into this matter so we get to know the full facts of the matter.
But are we not creating the impression that every land guard probably works with this company when that may not be the issue?
Absolutely, because what happens is I can conveniently organize land guards to protect my plot or to engage in other services. Then when the police comes, I say, oh, they are staff of the security. As simple as that. It's so convenient. No, I think there's a need for investigation into this matter. because it doesn't just make sense. A state institution like the Lands Commission would engage the services of a limited liability company that might not have the muscle, the firepower to deal with an issue as sensitive as land reclamation. Look, it sometimes becomes very violent, and I've been witness to a number of reclamation exercises. One, to the aviation land somewhere around on your way to Butchie from Reef Junction. I remember that when they were reclaiming it, the military enforcement, the police enforcement, and I guess one person even, sustained gunshot injuries. I don't know if the person died because he was extremely belligerent. So how did you expect a limited liability company to go there, I don't know with what, with sticks, to reclaim land, knowing how dangerous it can be? And on several occasions, we've even had trees, we've had people getting killed because of, confusion over land, Kasua, and so many other places throughout the country. Okay, so I think this is a matter of national security priority. We need to, we don't just have to take it on the face value. No, there's a need for an investigation, and that is exactly what I call for.
So does it make any difference that the ministry is telling us today that this so-called agent has a registered company and possibly being granted permission by the police to be used for its workers to be using these guns, is engaged even when the police and security are there? Can't we draw any sense out of that?
As much as we try, it doesn't just make sense. Okay, it doesn't just make sense for a private security firm to be, what we call it, acquired, which services is acquired by a government agency to reclaim land on behalf of government, when the police could have done this. Okay, I think, like I indicated, there's a lot more to this issue than we know. For now, what we know is the publication about the use of land guards. The ministry has come out with a statement. So it is a matter of he said, she said, someone's word against another person. But the only way we can draw conclusions, we can authenticate who is telling the truth, is for an investigation to be carried out. Because the issue of land guardism has become a national security emergency. They are armed to the state, okay? And because there's a massive proliferation of small arms and light weapons in the system, okay? These same land guards are engaged in other forms of criminality, like robbery. So they would stop at nothing, gunning their opponents down. Okay, so this is something we need to pay attention to. I remember in the past, there was a World Bank-funded Land Administration Project 1, Land Administration Project 2, and a whole lot of money has sunk. Still, we have big issues with the land administration system in Ghana. We're talking about digitalizing it and a whole host of other issues. Yesterday, as we speak, you will have one chief selling one plot of land to 5 different people. You have people with land issues wishing to go to the court, but you go to the court, you'll be in court for 20, 30 years. I know land issues that has been in court since the 1970s. My own brother, he has a land with the title, the other party doesn't have anything. The case was in court for about 20 years. How many people have that patience? So what do? They go and acquire the services of these land guards. So it's a multidimensional issue that requires a multidimensional approach. Hence, it is completely shocking that government that is supposed to play a leading role in nipping this in the bud is rather allegedly engaging their services. I think it's a huge indictment. However, the only way government can clear itself is for an investigation to be carried out.
Are we saying that a limited liability company cannot be engaged in rendering services such as this?
A limited liability company can be engaged in rendering services such as man guards at government ministries, departments, agencies, metropolitan, municipal, district assemblies, but reclamation is a dangerous venture. It involves guns, it involves people shooting people. It involves deaths sometimes. And you cannot use a private security firm to achieve anything tangible. Besides, we would wish to know what is their modus operandi. Okay, because what I want to avoid is us setting a precedent. That would be very dangerous for us, because tomorrow I can wake up and decide to get some young men from urban slums and say, oh, they are working under JTK security.
No, but is that not the first thing we need to do, to understand the modus operandi of this company, to align it and determine whether, okay, it falls in line with whatever they are doing before we could conclude on whether or not the state could engage their services or not?
Indeed, we need to know the modus. But my biggest concern has to do with an issue as sensitive as it is about, reclaiming land and all that. Okay, land has become a very sensitive issue in Ghana. It is a security issue. It is very much part and parcel. In fact, if you take a closer look at the sustainable development goals, most of it has to do with land. Is it about ending poverty? Is it about gender? It's a whole lot. It's mostly about land. So this is an area we within the security sector have paid so much, attention to. Hence the need for us to streamline things and to make things work better. And one of it is the issue of land guardism and how businessmen, companies, how individuals acquire their services to engage in all manner of activities. Okay, fine. Let's know what their modus operandi is. But for an issue as sensitive as this, I bet, okay, that they cannot do it without resourcing to certain ways very consistent with land gas in the country.
So how do we deal with this issue going forward in terms of land reclamation?
First of all, like I indicated, you see, it's multidimensional. There are so many issues involved. Okay, when you go to countries such as Rwanda, Uganda, and some other countries, if you see a land you are interested in, just go and stand on the land. They have a central database. You input it, and you know everything about the land, who owns the land. But in Ghana, it's different. We've heard about digitalization, blah, 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 but it's still a major issue. Today, I had 4 different people call me to talk about their land issues with other people. So let's take a conscious attempt to clean up, the land administration regime in the country. Let's get rid of those corrupt individuals whose priority is this to continue to perpetuate the bottlenecks. It's in their interest, because when everything is smooth, they will not make money. So theirs is to ensure that things don't go right, just like we have it with these people all around DGLE and the rest. Okay, then the issue of law enforcement. We have the law. We have an anti-vigilantism and other related offenses, and we are yet to see anybody being held to account under the law. Enforcement has always been a challenge. We have the laws on land guardism. What are we doing about it? Are we enforcing it? Are we ensuring that these persons don't engage in these activities? What are we doing about it? Then it brings us the issue of job creation. Because a lot of these young people are from the hinterland. They come to the big cities, Accra, Kasua, Kumasi, Takra. They're hoping for a better life. And when they come and realize that Accra is by plan, it's not as rosy as it is. Because Kofi came to Accra and came back home after a year with a Toyota Camry, doesn't necessarily mean that when you come to Accra, you return home with a Toyota Camry. Okay, so when they come and it happens that way, they become frustrated. They become disgruntled, and that is when they resort to land guardism, vigilantism, etc. So there are a whole lot of issues around it that has to be dealt with holistically or piecemeal if really we want to deal with the issue of land administration in the country.
Sani, for joining us here. to other stories. In an effort to improve the regional One Health-oriented pandemic preparedness and response system, ECOWAS agencies have joined forces to further develop the public health workforce in the region with an introduction of new courses. Resident representative of ECOWAS to Ghana, Baba Ghana Wakil, reviewed COVID-19 became a threat to most African countries, and it's essential to ensure our preparedness towards another pandemic. There is more in this report by Jacqueline and Suma Yeboah.
The ECOWAS One Health Leadership Program has been created for health professionals from ECOWAS member countries, aimed at helping the countries enhance their pandemic preparedness and response systems. Resident representative of ECOWAS to Ghana, Baba Ghana Wakil, stated that Africa's experience with pandemics and endemics has not been ideal, hence there is a need for capacity building.
Our experience, our journey through the last couple of years in dealing with pandemics and epidemics, not just COVID-19, but also Ebola and all the others I have mentioned. Our journey shows us that we need to develop our own national and regional capacity. For instance, in the development of vaccines, we found out that when COVID-19 hit us, there was no African country in the entire 55 countries in Africa that is capable of manufacturing vaccines. So we were at the mercy of developed countries to assist us, and they were dealing with their own issues there. So we have now realized that health security is as important as food security and energy security.
He further revealed that there is empirical data and research suggesting a global emergency which will require an absolute preparedness.
There is empirical evidence to suggest that there is a global emergency, maybe due to climate change and other attendant factors, that we are going to witness a lot of epidemics and pandemics in the near future.
Head of Regional Pandemic Program, Damien Bishop, says the One Health course will provide quick and effective information on pandemic concerns and how to mitigate them.
There's a lot of training delivered by lots of different partners on different aspects of One Health and pandemic prevention. What we're trying to encourage is an approach based on networking and based on communication, effective communication and timely communication, so that a response to a pandemic can be mitigated, so that a response can be earlier, so it can be better delivered, and so that information is shared with the right people at the right time.
The course duration is expected to span for 12 days. For Joy News, Jacqueline and Sumaya Boa.
The region has reviewed a decrease in the number of COVID-19 reported cases, but increase in death globally. However, the same 13th July report indicated a decline in both reported cases and death. But the World Health Organization says it's concerned about the high death rate in Africa. In Ghana, the Ghana Health Service is stepping up vaccinations yet again to ensure majority of us have the level of immunity to prevent severe infections. Joining us in the studio, we're going to speak to Dr. Louisa Ademke Mate shortly. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. So Dr. Louisa Ademke Mate is the public health physician specialist and municipal health director at the Ghana Health Service. She is at the Ayawaso West municipality. Yeah? Grateful to have you in the studio.
It's a pleasure to be here as well.
What are our stand now when it comes to COVID-19 in terms of numbers and even death?
So currently in Ghana, we are recording sometime around May. We recorded a bit of the highest there, about 30 cases.
In this year?
In this year, yes,
Yes,
in this year. But the good thing is that we are not recording deaths,
Okay.
you know, but we don't want to record deaths. And so the fact that we're recording cases is a source of concern, because once you have a disease, then you're likely to actually have a mortality out of it. So that's the picture now, okay. I mean, in Ghana.
But even as of May, when we recorded the 30, we didn't have death?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. So what are we doing to ensure that we don't record cases and also don't, in the process, record death?
Right. So for every disease, fighting every disease starts with preventing. So you prevent when people get the disease. You try to manage, and when there are situations where you can cure, you cure. So, I mean, that's the scope of public health and how we do our things. So when it comes to COVID-19 specifically, we are still talking about prevention, prevention, prevention. The disease is still around. I mean, the fact that the WHO has said that it's no more a public health emergency doesn't mean that it's 0 cases in the world. The world is still recording cases. And so all those things that we used to say to the public, don't get too close to people, especially people you are not too comfortable with or know. Don't overcrowd. We should observe the cough etiquette is still important. Don't spit around. You know, and especially when you're visiting health facilities and things like that, try and wear your mask, your face mask when you're going to such places and things like that. It is still pertaining, and we still encourage people to do that, because that is the preventive part of things. You know, hand hygiene has gone down drastically. But I was very happy when I got here and I saw that Joy FM still has the hand hygiene kits and all that.
We do have it.
We still need to maintain those high standards of infection prevention and control. And so, yes, we need to prevent. And then when people have the symptoms are the same. Fever, a cough that is unexplained, you've taken 1 or 2 things, you've gone to the counter and taken 1 or 2 things, it's still not going. I mean, you need to check it and go to the health facility, let someone look at it and say, okay, let's screen for COVID. We screen for COVID, we treat, and then you're fine. Otherwise, people stay and like, oh, there's no more COVID. They have symptoms, they won't report, and then things start getting worse, and then we are back to square one where we came from. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But what about the things that as a country we were doing? You know, during that time, even at the port of entry, it wasn't easy for you to come through. You need to go through other things before.
Yeah.
But those things have been relaxed a bit, isn't it?
Yes, they have been. And you see, those things that we put in place were very stringent measures because we were in a phase of a pandemic. I mean, the acute phase of it, where the numbers were high, infection rates was high, mortalities were high, there were strict restrictions to travel and things like that. And with the vaccination campaigns, I mean, all over the world, we've been able to get high levels of people, numbers of people vaccinated, and that has brought the numbers down. And you know, the restrictions bring economic, fiscal, and social issues. Yeah. And we all didn't like that, you know, so we are very happy that with the vaccinations, we've been able to bring down the severity of the disease, the number of people getting new infections and all that. So yes, things would need to be relaxed a bit so that life to a large extent can go on whilst people still get vaccinated, make sure they prevent from getting the infections, and then we are able to do it. So that's why we are here. That the fact that we are saying it's no more a fake doesn't mean that it's not there. Okay. So people shouldn't say, I'm not getting vaccinated. I mean, diseases as old as yellow fever and measles, we vaccinate our children against those. In some countries, you cannot get into the country without a yellow fever vaccination. But that disease is, how old is yellow fever compared to, you know, COVID-19? So the fact that it's no longer a fake doesn't mean that the disease doesn't exist. And we need to beef up the vaccinations so that we can still have our lives, at least some very good economic, I mean, value for our lives, social value, and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
So in terms of vaccinations, we had a target in the last time we embarked on this exercise.
Yes.
How many were we able to do? This time around, how many are we targeting?
Right. So currently, you know, Greater Accra was one of the biggest hits.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, the population of Greater Accra is about something a little over 5.6 million. We've been able to do our target really was to do 58% of the eligible population.
Okay.
And currently, we are hovering something around 51 for people who have received double dose.
Okay.
So we need
7%.
We need more. I mean, people who have actually received one dose is the 51 year.
Okay.
Yeah, 51% is the double dose, and about 68% have received one dose.
Okay.
So we have more people who received one dose, but they haven't completed their series, because you need you need 2 doses to complete a series, even though the Janssen gives you 1. But we need more people to complete their series. So we are going out there to make sure we bridge the gap between 1 dose persons and double dose persons, and also even get some people to take their boosters. Yes.
So do we also know the number of people who have also taken the boosters?
Currently, I know that I think the first booster doses, we have just about 25% who've taken a first booster.
But do you also have a target for that?
Yes, I mean, we need as high as if we get the 58% eligible taking the boosters. Because if we have a 58% target, we'll be happy to have a 58% of that same number taking the boosters. Then we know that we have a very well-protected population, you know, because, I mean, why not? You need the boosters to make sure that, I mean, your protection is still top-notch, you know, so... we won't give it a lower target to the previous 58% eligibility that we wanted to do.
And when this whole thing started, we're hearing about herd immunity. Does our 58% give us that herd immunity we're looking for?
Yeah, yes, that's why we've targeted it that way.
But 58 out of 100, we have around, is it 32?
32, yes.
To then cover the whole population?
Yes.
Is that enough, 58, for us to have herd
but
immunity?
you see, the 58% here, let me clarify, because that 58% you're talking about is people between 15 years of age and above. That is why that 58%. Did you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have an eligible population of 58% because we have in the population about 15 people between 15 to and above.
Okay.
That age. But out of that 58%, we would definitely want something a 60 and above, or even a 65. Some countries even push this herd immunity thing to about 70%, you know. So the higher the percentage coverage, the better. So out of that 58% eligible, we would like to vaccinate, I mean, fully and protect. Once we get about 60% fully vaccinated with boosters and that sort of thing, then we know that we're talking about getting closer to herd immunity, and then we can protect each other.
When this thing started, there were these, do I call it myth or misconceptions about the vaccines, and that even resulted in some people not opting to go for the vaccines.
Right.
With time, have we been able to overcome that, or that's also still playing a role in the numbers of people receiving the vaccines?
It's I can tell you that it's still playing a very big role. And I will take opportunity to say that the Ghana Health Service has done so much work, especially when it comes to social and behavioral change communication. We've tried to use various modalities to get to people. Now we go to people's homes, house to house, and spend minutes, sometimes hours, talking to one person so that you can get, I mean, those days of doing mass education, standing on the podium and talking to people, and then you get people flocking in, I mean, have gone, because most of the people who actually believe in it have come for the vaccine. Now we have a certain small number of people who are still very hesitant, and we can understand, and it's our job to bring the information to them so that they can make informed choices to protect all of us. So we are still on it. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I can sit here for 1 hour and talk to you, and try to convince you to take it. I know you've taken your vaccine, haven't you?
so still the vaccine hesitancy is there. But in fact, COVID brought us some terms. Vaccine
hesitancy.
It's still there.
Yes, it's there. I mean,
so what do we do, or what can we do to then change, people from resisting or hesitating to go for the jobs?
Resistance to anything is a part of human life. So, I mean, when you're planning in health, you should plan and know that there are people who would resist. But our work as healthcare work, I think that it starts with providing the right information and having the right attitude towards those who, for some reason, are not comfortable and do not understand. And that is why we have a very robust social and behavioral change communication department and division of the Ghana Health Service that does that work. It is their core mandates and my mandate, everybody else's mandate in the Ghana Health Service, to make sure that we tell people what the facts are, give them what the data is saying, show them the value of protecting yourself through things like vaccination and things like that. And we have done that, and we've gotten the numbers we have got. I will tell you that we didn't start out with 70% of our population being receptive to taking the vaccine. But a lot of the work that we've done on vaccine hesitancy and changing people's perceptions and things like that have yielded some fruit. So, and we'll continue to do it.
So this exercise, you started it already?
It starts on Wednesday, 19th to 23rd.
And what's the arrangement like?
So currently we have the eligible population for this particular campaign are people between 18 and above. 18 and above. We currently have the Janssen vaccine, what we call J&J, the one-shot one, that used to be like the favorite for many people.
Yeah, because
yes.
For jobs, you want to take it one.
Just one shot. Yeah, that's what we have now.
Okay.
And that is for people 18 and above. We cannot give that to the 15 years and below. And we cannot give that to the pregnant women as well. So this current campaign is looking at 18 years and above, non-pregnant women, and not doesn't include people who are 15 years or younger. In NACVAC 8, that's the National COVID-19 Vaccination Days. The 8th one, hopefully, would get some Pfizer as well, and bring that so that we can cover those that are younger.
But if it's 18. One job, then you're looking at, new people altogether, isn't it? People who have not taken their vaccines at all.
Even better, but we can give that one jab as a booster to someone.
Really?
Yes. So say you have taken, what do you call it, AstraZeneca, which is the 2 shots. You can, in this particular campaign, take the J&J vaccine as a booster.
Okay.
Yes.
It won't cause any problem?
No, it won't cause any problems at all.
What about people who have not taken it at all?
So that would be your first experience to the vaccine. And then after 4 weeks, you can, or 3 months, you can take your booster.
But you said this is a single dose, isn't it?
Yes, it's a
single dose. I thought the single
dose
is the one when you take it.
Yes, so the single dose, what it does is that it gives you it gives that impression of the full series when you compare it to AstraZeneca. Because with Astra, you have to take two shots for a full vaccination. But with J&J, you take one and you're fully vaccinated. So you get exposed to the shot again, and it's a booster.
Okay.
Do you get it? It's not because you are coming in to complete the series.
So if say I've taken J&J in the past, if I take this one, that's my booster?
That's your booster.
Okay.
That's your booster. You can take it as a booster.
Yes. When are we going to stop taking boosters? Or from time to time we have to take boosters?
Again, it will depend on how the virus behaves and the new data that we get. Immunology, they would have to look at how the body is responding to these vaccines, and then see how the antibodies remain. And then they would advise, Noguchi does that. I know other countries are also working on those things to advise how many boosters, if any, would because I know there are people in Ghana who actually want 3rd boosters and things like that.
Okay, all right. I guess this is a nationwide campaign, right?
Yes, it is.
Nationwide.
It is.
And the numbers we're looking at?
Well, I can speak specifically for Greater Accra.
Okay.
Yes, but I mean, every region
has
its targets, and they're doing that as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
For
I hope that from time to time we can do this so that people will be educated on,
yes.
this.
The pleasure would be mine. Always ready to educate.
Okay.
And sensitize. So anytime.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. So that's Dr. Louisa Ademki Mate.
Yes, please.
That I've gotten it right.
You've gotten it right.
Okay. She is the Municipal Director of Health for Ayawaso West Municipality. This is the Pulse on the Joy News channel. We'll take a quick break. But you know what? We spent money to construct some dams up north. It was christened One Village, One Dam project. But we built the dams, but when it came to the point where we needed the water, the dams dried up. We have that coming up next year. Welcome back from the break. Now, resident of Ayoropia in the Bongo district in the Upper East region, where President Akufo-Addo first cut sword for the One Village, One Dam project, say the dam dries up shortly after Christmas. They still value the project and are requesting the government to bring contractors back to the site to do a better job. Jojo Kobna brings you a set of Joy News' hotline documentary titled Thirsty Dams.
Water to the northerner is like blood. When we have water, we can do a lot of things for ourselves.
And without it, unemployment, poverty, and famine. To escape, many young people travel down south for supposed greener pastures. The NPP government provided a solution: One Village, One Dam.
The then candidates and then the running mates visited a chief in one of these villages and met the women digging the ground with their bare hands for water. So when they saw that, they said, well, when we come to power, we will provide you with water that can be better than what you are using your bare hands to construct. And that is how come the promise of One Village, One Dam.
I'm saying every village, one dam. One village, one dam. You know?
The policy appealed to the people in the northern regions.
The government came here and told us that they will be giving us dam. And our people assured them that if they give them dam, they also let them laugh. And really, you can ask our assemblyman and even ask the NPP people what this community did for them. They voted massively for them.
It was a political promise that won the hearts and minds of the people. The dams should make it possible for farmers to farm all year round and break the cycle of waiting for the rains before cultivation. It was the reason why the people of Bongo sang and danced till they became drenched in sweat. When the president cut sword for the implementation of the project.
We have begun the One Village, One Dam initiative, and you here in Bongo can see for yourself that we have begun the initiative. It is our intention that Bongo alone will get 10 dams this year. 570 are being built. You heard the minister across the 3 northern regions, and Bongo constituency alone is going to get 10 out of that 570.
This campaign promise has been fulfilled. Well, but not quite.
Dam always takes us 2 months to dry up. Only 2 months? Only 2 months. October, November, the water dry up. November, like this, you see our pepper farm, you will like it. But where? No water again.
My name is Jojo Kobina. It has been 5 years since the dams were constructed. My job here is simple. Find out how the dams are serving the people as it should and what concerns the people have. I hope government will use the findings in this documentary to improve the current state of the dams.
So Thirsty Dams is at 8:30 p.m. on the Joy News channel tonight. Right now, we'll try and bring in some reactions to this because water is very critical to the farmer's business. And so without water, it makes the business quite difficult. I mean, you cannot grow without water. Farmers indeed need water. And that's why this project was a critical one. But some studies have also found that the right people were not engaged in doing this particular, construction of dams. Some work that some people have done have realized that there were even overpayment of contractors who did this sort of work, and many work is needed to bring back these dams, to full life. Like we told you from this community, after Christmas, their dam dries up, and that's where we enter into the dry season, and they will need water for their farming business. So if they are not getting water, it becomes, another problem. But we'll be engaging the Peasant Farmers Association on this. Dr. Charles Nyaba is the executive director of the association, and he joins us via Zoom now. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us. First, your viewpoint on this, that some dams were constructed, but the people are saying that after Christmas, then they all dry up.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good afternoon to yourself and the viewers. Yeah, that is true. I think most of us were disappointed after we had so much expectation for the dams when the news broke up that we were going to get dam in every village of our operational areas. In 2016, when the NPP government, through their manifesto, came up with the concept, we all supported that. I think some of us campaigned strongly that it was a solution to age-long problem that we've all been yearning for. These days, because of climate change, when you go to northern part of the country, we get maximum rainfall for 3 to 4 months. By October, when crops are ready for harvest, in most occasions, the rains doesn't come at all. So you realize that the youth, especially the young people and the women, run and come to southern Ghana to do kayeye. So when that idea came, we thought that, okay, now we have a solution, we'll be able to do all year round farming. So when the construction actually started, we followed, there were some occasions, you even go to the communities and their volunteer, their labor and other things to support the construction work. We monitored to one of the communities, and according to them, when the contractor came and then he was working, and then he started packing out, they thought that he was going to come back. And later on, they were told that that was the complete dam that was constructed. So actually, when we did a monitoring to most of the dams, more than 60% of the dams at the time were not able to hold any water. When the rain stopped in October, by December, you go there, you don't see any water. As we speak, some of the dam floors have been used to plant rice and other vegetables because they've not contained any water. So after the monitoring, we did engage the ministry. They did agree of some of the floors, and they promised that they were going to do reconstruction. Since then until date, per our follow-up, nothing has been done on the dam. So those dams are actually waste of the taxpayer money. There's no value for money, and their usefulness for which they were being implemented has not been fulfilled.
How is that affecting, the farming business up north?
Yeah, it will affect a lot because these days, if you check most of our markets, the vegetables that we get is from through dry season farming. We used to also get some from Burkina Faso to complement. But for 2023, Burkina Faso closed most of their borders because of the Boko Haram insurgents. So because of that, today when you go to the market now, you buy one fruit of tomatoes for 10 cedis. It is because our farmers fail to produce more, tomatoes in the dry season, and also the Burkina borders have been closed for vegetable production. So if something different is not done to address the issue, actually, price of vegetables will go very high. Usually, most farmers during the dry season rely on boreholes. Others go to riverside to use a pumping machine to pump the water to do the farming. But when they started constructing the one village, one dam, some of the dams were constructed in waterways that previously the farmers were using to water their plants. All those channels have been blocked. They closed their boreholes, they closed their wells, they closed the riverside that they used to go to farm, and then they were expecting to use this. So now it's not working. So this is actually going to affect the supply of tomatoes and other vegetables in the urban areas a lot.
Interesting. So the only way out is for reconstruction of these dams, right?
Yeah, so what we need to do is that some of the dams actually, if you look at the dam wall, they were not properly constructed. Some of them to the reservoirs were so shallow, they are not able to contain the water. Some of them were not actually even constructed in a place that can be used for irrigation. You go to some places, then you see a dam between houses. So even if there's water, there's no land for farming activities. So we propose that those dams that can be reconstructed and there are farmlands for the water to be used, they should go back and reconstruct those dams.
Okay.
Those that we have weak dam walls and those that we have a shallow reservoirs, they need to go back and then deepen the reservoir to be able to contain water. If they do that, for the concept itself, I'll say it many times, the concept itself is good. Our major problem is how it was implemented.
All right, Dr. Nyaba, I'm grateful to you for joining us here on The Pulse. He is the president of the Peasant Farmers Association. We'll take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk about Ghana's first president. He's loved by many for his role in Ghana's independence struggle, setting the country on an industrialization path and championing the Pan-African agenda. But how much more do you know about him, and how much do you remember of our first president? We have more on him after the break. And also, we're speaking to someone who is being championing good governance and the fight against corruption in the Commonwealth nations, you know. So stay with us. We have some incredible conversations coming up next year. We'll be back. Welcome back from the break. Now, good governance and transparency has become more urgent due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, challenges of climate change, and the security situation in the Sahel. According to the African Development Bank, good governance should be built on a foundation of effective state, mobilized civil societies, and an efficient private sector. The key element of good governance then are accountability, transparency, combating corruption, citizen participation, and an enabling legal judicial framework. Many African countries have undertaken institutional reforms that have significantly changed their governance architectures and put in place a new set of leaders. But how have these reforms led to African countries achieving the goals for which these reforms were enacted? How do we build a continent of examples of good governance and less corruption? We're joined by Head Public Sector Governance Commonwealth Secretariat, London, UK, for a chat on this. But first, let me share with you the performance of African countries in good governance. Okay, so we've been joined here in studio by Professor Roger Opon-Koranting. He is the Head Public Sector Governance Commonwealth. He joins us in the studio. But Prof's, details, I mean, his profile is a very long one because in 2011, he established this vibrant association of anti-corruption agencies in Commonwealth Africa to promote their agencies' collaboration and learning through the sharing of experiences and best practices. In 2013, he established the Commonwealth Africa Anti-Corruption Agencies in Corruption Africa in Botswana, which built and strengthens the capacity of anti-corruption agencies in Commonwealth Africa. So that's the Commonwealth Africa Anti-Corruption Center. In 2015, he established the Association of Integrity Commissions and Anti-Corruption Bodies in the Commonwealth Caribbean. It provides a forum for sharing experiences, good practices, and benchmarking effort in the fight against corruption. In 2017, he established the Regional Training Center of Excellence in Grenada for regional training in the Commonwealth Caribbean. Now, he's won several awards for this. In 2018, Dr. Roger Cranting, the now professor, his work in the Commonwealth was recognized and was selected as winner of the prestigious International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award. In June 2022, he was presented with another award by the Commonwealth Caribbean Association of Integrity Commissions and Anti-Corruption Bodies in recognition of his commitment and work in anti-corruption across the Commonwealth and specifically within the Caribbean. Now, his latest award was this year in March 2023. He received the International Thermos Fighting Corruption Award. The Thermos Fighting Corruption Award recognizes those who are going above and beyond their work in combating financial crime across the world. Prof,
thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
You have a very long profile there.
Well, I still remain the ordinary young Ghanaian boy.
Young where? Which boy?
Boy, Ghanaian boy,
okay,
who has just trying to do something for
the world.
For the world.
Okay, great to have you here. Now, with your vast work in good governance and corruption,
yeah,
how do you see, good governance in terms of what Ghana is doing? How are we doing in good governance in this country?
You see, thank you for having me. When you talk about good governance, you're talking about some key ingredient that must be present in order to promote good governance. And I think you mentioned some of them. The key one, the first one is accountability. The second one is transparency. Rule of law is the third one. Participation is the fourth, and capacity is the fifth. In terms of accountability, how do those who are holding public office, how accountable are they to the public or the citizens? That's one. And for you to be able to do that, they have to be transparent. Means that they should be like open book. Because you see, I think our people have to get it right, that when you are responsible for public office, it is not your bona fide property. It's not something that you inherited. It's a transit. You are holding it in trust of the people. Now, when you are holding something in trust, what do? You have to render account to the people who you are holding it in, in trust for them. So that's why accountability is important. Accountability in the way you allocate resources. Accountability in the way you make decisions. Why do you make a decision to affect A but not B? Okay. How do you allocate resources to sector A or region B or district A or whatever? You have to make account to the people you hold a trust for. So that is one. Then transparency. If you are transparent, you are accountable. Because you are open book, everybody can know what you're doing. But for me, the critical thing is participation and capability. You see, the capacity of this, when you talk about capacity, you're talking about two things. The capacity of our institutions to be able to come out with good policies that will address the problems of the society. You see, government doesn't solve problems without policy. Policy means that you have identified a problem in the society, then you come out with a problem, you come out with guidelines, which you call policy, to address them. Now, for you to be able to do that, you have to formulate good policies. So if there's a problem with education, problem in the energy sector, a problem in health, it's policy, public policy, government policy that will address that. Do we have the capacity to do that? That's one aspect of capacity. Another capacity is the citizens. Do the citizens have capacity to analyze government policy, to hold them accountable? Because if the citizens don't have the capacity, they will be swayed. It will be something like personality cult, because they are ill-informed. They cannot analyze the way our public holders are behaving for them to hold them accountable. So it is important to have all these ingredients there. Okay. Of course, rule of law sit on top. You see, the rule of law and also the judiciary is I would say, the grandfather. After everything has gone wrong, they is the one who hold the country together. So there should be what they call the legitimate expectation that citizens go to court. Not that they will win their case all the time, but at least they will get justice. So these ingredients is like a system approach. One of them without the other will not make governance.
So if you look at, with all these parameters, if you look at the country Ghana, are we really doing enough? How are we performing?
Okay, we are not performing on all the fronts. Okay. I think I would say, in terms of capacity, we are not. It's the lowest we have.
Our institutions
don't
have the capacity?
No.
The citizens don't have the capacity?
The citizens don't have the capacity. That's why we have the kind of politics we have in this country. Because we are not analyzing issues. We are looking at personalities. The institutions, let's say, we look at the problems we have in this country, across board, from flooding to the dam that I hear you talking about.
Yes.
The institutions, what kind of policies have they put in place to address this? Because you see, as I keep saying, public policy is the one that deals with societal problems. So if you don't have the right policy, it's not like somebody saying that I'm going to solve the problem and the problem is solved. No, government have to come out with a good policy. Implementing those policies will address those issues. So long as these problems, societal problems persist, that means that we are not doing something right. That means we are not getting the policy right. The policy framework is flawed. Yes.
So for all these years, we've not been able to do this.
Yes.
What are the challenges that are mitigating against our effort to have all of these, to have good governance really exhibited in this country?
That's what I'm saying. First and foremost, it comes with capacity. But you see, if we talk about good governance, there are two things that underpin them: effective leadership and fighting corruption. You see, now these two, let's look at the leadership. Leadership at all fronts. It cascades from the top to the family units. So you realize that first and foremost, if government have to deal with problems, let's look at the ministries. Tell me, let's look at the public policy or public policy analysis units in our ministries, non-existent, who have been trained as a policy analyst. Not that by words, but by training and experience. Do we have policy analysis in government?
We've had a lot of them.
Who are they? Have you looked at their background? You see, titles are different. Talking about professional policy analysis, those who have gone through training and work on policy, so that you put a policy in place, you can analyze it and see economic side is good, social side is good, our informal sector. Somebody who have that comprehensive view of things, helicopter view of things, to look through these policies. That's why most of our policies are not being implemented. We have a whole lot of them. Another problem we have in this country is implementation. You can have all the fanciful policies, yes, because of course most of the policies come from outside anyway. It's not homegrown.
You sure?
Yes. I'm telling you, it's not homegrown.
One village, one dime is homegrown, isn't it?
Well, yes.
Planting for food and jobs is homegrown, isn't it?
Those are homegrown.
Free senior high school.
Exactly.
They are.
They are homegrown, but yes, I mean, some of them are aspirational. You get aspiration from elsewhere, then you use it to calibrate your own. Yes. Okay. So those policies were good, and I will give it to the present administration. There was a whole lot of good policies. However, my problem with them is implementation. You see, if you don't have people who can formulate and implement, the formulation, yes, is about 30%. Okay. But the implementation is a 70%. How do you calibrate the implementation? So that is the problem. So you see, all these good policies that you've recounted, you and I know that implementation has not been too good. So that means that we don't have those public administrators or technocrats or whoever to do the implementation. That is the bane of, not only in Ghana, but across Africa.
How do we solve that? Because that's major. If we are not implementing our policies well, that's a huge thing that we need to tackle.
Yes, we should direct our national resources to train our own people as to do proper policy formulation and implementation, and make sure that they are embedded in government across. Because if you lack them, we sit here, we have discussed issues. Okay, this issue is good. We have formulated a policy. Who is going to implement it? Somebody down there. Is the person capacitated to do it? So you form all these policies, but the implementation, we need to look at our critical needs as a society, particularly in developing country. What are the critical capacity we need? Is it policy analysis, implementation, we should now send people in there. Okay? Because some of us, because we manage to, I have a PhD in public policy and governance.
Yeah.
Immediately, the international community came for me because it's a real something. Not very many people are trained in those areas. You may have people who have trained only in economic policy. You may have somebody who may be health policy, but in government, you need to have somebody who have a comprehensive view about all this.
Okay.
Otherwise, you behave like we did a structure adjustment, if you remember, ERP. When we implemented it, the World Bank later came on to say that because that policy was engineered, formulated, and implemented by economists, they didn't take the social aspect of it. That's why they smuggle what they call the PAMS card to take care of the social implication, because they didn't have policy analysts there. If they have policy analysts, before they implement, they say, look, economic, yes, but what about the social? What about the informal sector? So you need that. So it's about training, it's about education, and that we need to do that.
But that's sad then, because according to an ADB working paper in 2018, governance has long been suspected to be a major impediment to African economic development, so long ago.
Yes.
Now, this came to the fore in the late 1970s,
yes,
when African economies suffered major setbacks after independence.
Yes.
In 1981 report commissioned by the Bretton Woods Institution, Accelerated Development in Sub-Saharan Africa, an agenda for action, which came to be known as simply as the Berg Report, poor governance was highlighted as a major culprit responsible for Africa's poor state of economic health. Now, prominent were currency devaluation and trade liberalization intended to achieve an economically healthy and stable external balance. These proposed reforms referred to as economic governance. Why are we still talking about, I mean, this is 1981.
Yes, 1981. Yes, it's
so
true.
Today.
Yes.
And we are still being, confronted with these same challenges.
But we did structure adjustment and ERP. What was it? In the early 80s. Rollins, we are still confronted. We are still going to IMF. So the problem is still there because we have not solved the fundamentals. We have not solved our own capacity to analyze our own, come out with homegrown solutions, and also homegrown implementation, particularly the implementation. Because all these policies are being imposed by outsiders because you are not managing your affairs well. So they come out with a structure adjustment policy, IMF conditionalities and all that. So you, in fact, if you are living beyond your means, you earn 1,000. Every year you spend 1,500. And if you want, and you are raking debt. So if you really want to have peace of mind, what do? You have to wait for somebody to come and tell you that stop spending more than 1,500 and spend your 1,000.
You don't need anybody to tell you.
That's what the IMF will tell you, and that's what they are telling us.
But we have people like you who have been well trained. Are these institutions responsible for implementing these policies?
Yes.
And we are still where we are. So is it really about capacity, or it's about something else?
Yeah, it's about having, look, you are right. It's about having these people around. But this, I can tell you, the Ghanaian professionals outside making waves outside is mind-boggling. They must come, but will they invite them? Will they want them to come? That's another matter. If they want to bring Ghanaians in the Commonwealth Secretariat, in the World Bank, in the IMF, to come and help Ghana to break through, no problem.
So
but will they do that?
The question then is, it couldn't be capacity. It could be something else.
Yeah.
Because some of you, for example, if we bring you here today and then give you a project to implement, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, we'll still have problems with implementation. Not because you don't have the capacity.
Well, we have local issues, but you see, the point is that are we getting the right persons to do that?
Okay.
When you stay outside, you have a different perspective. about how things work. And when you are within, also you have different perspective. So the best way, like most countries have done around the world, whether it is Israel, whether it's Singapore, whether it's China, they always bring those people in the diaspora. They intentionally send them out, go and learn new things. And they have a policy in place to bring them back. That's what we do. Ghana, we don't have any policy to bring anybody back. So we are all there making wheels, getting awards, doing this for others. But our country
is suffering.
It's suffering. So yes, there is capacity deficit in those who are here.
Okay.
Apart from that, you are right. There are also other external, exogenous problems that we're going to look at in terms of corruption. It's a big thing. In terms of leadership, it's a big thing.
Exactly.
So these are also factors militating against our promotion of good governance. But as I'm saying, the capacity is a real issue, capacity of the citizens.
Okay.
How many Ghanaians can really, in our, apart from those in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, Takoradi, the rest, can they sit down and analyze government policies and see that, no, we can ask, yes. So that is, even though our educational system, yes, we want to educate more, but it will take a while. Education takes a while for you to read the dividends.
Okay. What is the role of leadership in allowing people with capacity to work for us to really get the benefit of the policies? The role of leadership. Because if you have the capacity and you are not being allowed to work because of a leadership deficit, that's also a major issue.
Yeah, the role of, again, is a government policy. If government come out with a policy that, look, I'm putting certain proposal in place or certain guidelines in place to attract people who have demonstrated, not those who are just because you are outside, but those who have demonstrated capacity, demonstrated experience, track record, to bring you in, to help Mother Ghana to develop, then that's where you get them. But if people are scattered all over the place, and I will not just pack my bag and baggage and say, I'm coming to sit in Ghana and come and look for a job, whilst I have a bigger job there. So it's about, and every Ghanaian you meet, they want to come and help. Because look, Ghana is the only country we have. So it's about government policy. In fact, I know my colleagues who were medical officers. These are like how Professor, the one who Professor
Boateng
came from Germany.
Yeah.
You have people like that who want to come. Their own colleagues will not allow them to come. Yes. Their own colleagues will not allow them to come. So you have to remove all these bottlenecks, because if they come and they make Ghana develop, it's for all of us.
Why won't their colleagues allow them to come?
Your guesses are good at mine. You are outside. We are here. Why do you want to come back and, So, I mean, it's a kind of...
So they try to paint the picture.
I mean, everybody knows that.
So you said that corruption is also a big, big thing.
Oh, yeah.
How do you see corruption in this country?
Corruption is pervasive, if I won't mince words. Corruption in Ghana is pervasive. From the man on the street to the highest level, corruption is pervasive. Everybody, see, we said our people are corrupt, particularly our politicians and senior public officials. The question you ask yourself, where are they coming from? From the moon? No. They are those Ghanaians. So the same Ghanaians who go to school, who finish university, and who get into positions of authority are corrupt. So the corruption comes from the street, everywhere. And my fear is that the way we are going, if we don't do something about it, very soon, if you're going to get criminals who have money to rule us. Yes, the way we are going, the way our politicking has been so much monetized, is scary. No, so that if you don't have that kind of money, which ordinarily you can't have, then you cannot, no matter how best your brain is, you won't get there. Because it's become monetized. And everybody is looking at getting into position of power to make money.
Okay.
Yes, that's why elections have become life and death matter for everybody. Because we all know, if we don't have anything, get into politics, win elections, And the next 2 years, see the kinds of buildings and others you have.
Prof, you've done some work in Botswana. You say in one of your papers, Tackling Corruption in Commonwealth Africa, case studies of Botswana, Lesotho, Mauritius, Rwanda, and Seychelles, paperback importing on 27th November 2018.
Yeah.
You sought to say that it looks like institutions in these countries are working.
Yes.
What is the difference between theirs and ours in terms of dealing with corruption?
Okay. Interestingly, look at these institutions: Botswana, Rwanda,
Lesotho, Mauritius, Seychelles.
Yes. First, they have had a certain trajectory of leadership. In Botswana and Rwanda come to mind. The same government have been in power ever since independence.
Okay.
And therefore, if you have such a situation and you have a visionary leader and you put right governance framework in place, the country will develop. Ours, unfortunately, our multi-party democracy, which gives you 4 years, at most 8 years, and you change over. First, you cannot have a national agenda because every political party will have its own agenda. That's why we haven't been able to have any national agenda continuously for 10 years since we started this dispensation. Because multi-party democracy means that it's a market where everybody go and sell their ideas.
But is that why we are not able to deal with corruption in this country?
Yes. So the corruption then is our institutions are weak. You see, everybody is prone to corruption, whether you are white, black, or whatever. We are all prone to corruption. What makes the difference? Those countries that are dealing with corruption better than others is their level of institutions.
Okay.
Because you see, corruption, you should know, particularly the high level, we call them grand corruption. Those who dabble in those things are very smart and clever and well educated. All right. So before they get into corruption, they do their own cost-benefit analysis. When I go into corruption, will I be caught? If the answer is yes, they back off.
Okay.
Will I be caught? No. Then they go into corruption. Okay. If I be caught and I can get off the hook by the weak institutions and the bottlenecks in the system, they go into corruption.
I mean, I'd have loved to have this with you, throughout, but because of time, unfortunately, we need to end it here.
Yeah.
But just 30 seconds.
Yeah,
what
30
will be
seconds.
your message to Ghana?
Let me give you 4 key to address corruption in this country. First, the Access Declaration, before, the tenure, and after. And it should be verified publicly. If you don't want your access to be verified by public, please don't go into public office.
Okay.
Stay in private sector, 1. 2, lifestyle audit. Everybody who is in public office, we have to monitor and check your lifestyle audit. If your assets doesn't measure up with your income, we should take you to court to explain how you acquired the assets. That's number 2. Number 3, beneficial ownership register. Beneficial ownership allow those people who get people to front for them will be exposed by law. So that one is the 4th. And the last one, since we don't have time, I won't explain all of them. The last one, we should reverse the burden of proof in corruption.
Okay.
Go to the court and say that you are guilty because your lifestyle audit has indicated that you have acquired ABCD assets, which is more than your salary. Explain to the court.
Okay.
That will bring corruption down.
Okay.
Then all those fake people who go into politics to go and make money, they'll stop going there because whatever you acquire, it will be taken away from you.
Professor Roger Opon-Kranting, I'm grateful to you for coming. He is Head Public Sector Governance, Commonwealth Secretariat, London, United Kingdom. Now, moving on. He's loved by many for his role in Ghana's independence struggle, setting the country on an industrialization path and championing the Pan-African agenda. There are those who, however, see him as a dictator and question what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's legacy is. The debate is not exclusive to academics and other members of society. 2 of his children, Samia and Sekou Nkrumah, also disagree on what their father exactly stood for and what his legacy must be.
Nkrumah introduced the one-party state. Right. Nkrumah became life president. These are facts. It's not what you read. And I'm saying that is dictatorial, but I'm saying it's because of his ideas of that socialist path for our development, not only for Ghana, but Africa.
Okay, so he chose it because for him it was a path to development.
Yes, he was a Marxist intellectual, and he chose the socialist path. We can't redefine Nkrumah as that's what I'm saying. But so it was dictatorial. But it doesn't mean that it's wrong, because that was his philosophy, and people have their philosophy. As today we have a multi-party system. That's the Western, inherited from the Western system. Nkrumah was against that. He didn't believe. He developed a point where he realized socialism is the path. So what I'm saying, for us to understand his greatness,
that's why everything was pushed through Parliament
not
today.
Western democracy.
No,
that's
but even kind of every legislation, everything he promoted was done through Parliament. Right. This is a man who won three with his party.
So you
three
disagree
elections.
with the word dictatorial?
Strongly, because it's the manner in which he introduced most of his policies. Oh, everything actually was pushed through Parliament. So he used constitutional means, and we can check the records. You know, so are we saying that today, when any government of the day pushes through things which the opposition vehemently opposes, that they are
no opposition then?
But
so
there was an opposition. There were different parties,
they had no room
there
to
was
operate.
a referendum. There were everything was.
I don't agree with you, but I guess people differ, even siblings.
But,
yeah. So.
That's an interesting, discussion there. The full length of the discussion will be played on the AM show tomorrow morning, so do make a date. But that's all time will allow us on the show today. Thank you so much for your company. My name is Samuel Kojo Braze. On behalf of the team, please, we're grateful to you for joining us. We'll leave you in the hands of the LTS team. Have a great day.